This year I have gotten really obsessed with discovering the wild world of dehydrated meals, and one of my favorite meals to bring with me out into the bush is actually dehydrated pasta. Let's take a look.
Honestly, I think this is way better than some of the stuff they sell in the stores, and it's way cheaper to make too. That's really good. Doing meals like this can bring you a sense of security and feeling of home while you're out on the trail.
Another one of the reasons we love dehydrated food is because it's super lightweight. Back in the days when people had to travel long distances with only using horses or maybe a dog sled team or just their own 2 feet, you had to be really careful about what kind of things you brought with you, and you can bring a lot more with you if they're lightweight. As we all know, if you've tried to carry a bucket of water, water can be really heavy. And if you take all of the water out of your food, suddenly you can bring a whole lot more. And this is one of the reasons why backpackers love it so much. Of course, you can go to fancy camping stores and buy the really expensive pre-packaged ones that leave you with all sorts of garbage on your hike. But what a lot of people don't realize is you can also make your own dehydrated meals at home. Good boy, bring it. Okay. All right. Drop it here. Yes, good boy. Bring this one. Bring it. Yes. You want to help? Yeah? Yes, good boy. Hug. Hug. Break it. Bring it back. Alright, so we're going to put our water on to boil, and as a special surprise for Yuki, we're going to boil an EGG on the fire floor. And so while we wait for our water to boil, we're going to prepare our pasta. And I'm going to show you 2 different methods you can do. One makes a little more sense for backpacking, but if you happen to be car camping or just, hanging around in the bush and you're not really carrying all that much, the second method makes a little more sense. And so the first method, we're going to be preparing in a small pot. This is the kind of pot that you would find yourself camping with if you're going backpacking or whatever. And the second method, I'm going to be doing a little bit less traditionally. I'm going to be putting it in a small thermos, and we'll talk a bit about why you would choose each of these methods at the end. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is dehydrated pasta sauce. Now, you can see this is about half of our drying rack full. So this is really cool. This is not something most people know, that you can, you don't have to buy those backpacking meals. All you need is a dehydrator. And so we're going to break that up. And if you're a meat eater, you can choose to do pre-cooked ground beef, dehydrated as well. And if you're not a meat eater, then you can also do it with veggie ground beef, just for a little bit extra protein, especially on cold days like today. The last few days have been warm enough to melt most of the snow, but it has gotten really cold again. So this is almost coming to a boil. Next, we're going to toss in and crumble up some dehydrated mushrooms, which are also fabulous for making dehydrated mushroom soup in the bush. Okay. And last but not least, it would not be pasta without the, necessary ingredient of dehydrated pasta. And put a few handfuls in each. And you can see that's coming to a boil. Of course, when you have boiling water, you do not want to try and touch this or pick this up with your hands. There's different ways you can get it off, but we prefer one of these. So The next thing we'll do is we will pour our boiling water inside until it just covers the top. And we will do the same with this. That looks like about enough. We'll set that aside for the EGG to cool. And so one of the really great things about dehydrated food is it's a just add hot water kind of thing. It's super simple because you've already done all the work at home up front. You need to allow this to sit in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, of course, if it's as cold as it is today, I don't know if you can see my fingers starting to turn red, but if it's as cold as it is today, if you let this sit out, it's going to cool really quickly. You know, I could, for instance, take off my scarf or my sweater and wrap it in order to help keep the heat, but since I already have warm coals going, I'm just going to toss it back on. And I'm just gonna let it sit there, and the intention isn't really to let it cook, but more just to keep it warm. And if you have a really big fire going, then it's usually enough to just put it on the side. And so this is of course the kind of pot you would find yourself with if you're camping or backpacking. And usually if you're backpacking, you're not going to be traveling with something like an insulated thermos. It's just that kind of extra weight that when you're going long distances, you don't want to have to carry. That said, if you're hanging out at a cabin or you're just going for a small day hike or something like that, I really like these small thermoses because it's already insulated. It's going to keep the heat in easily with no extra work on your part for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can eat straight out of the bowl. The other thing is if I had to go on a hike right now and I knew I wasn't going to be able to start a fire likely when I get hungry in say a couple of hours, I could eat my rehydrated breakfast, I could drink some tea, and then I could also pour some of this in for my lunch on the go. And so it depends on what you're doing. It depends on whether you're hiking or backpacking, but both of these things work pretty well. Alright, so let's take a look. The pasta sauce has definitely rehydrated. This is looking pretty good. Alright, so let's open this on up and see how it is. Yeah, that's really good. The noodles are definitely rehydrated. They are, they're pretty similar to a consistency of if I were to do it at home. Considering how stiff and flexible the pasta sauce was, you guys heard it crack. It has rehydrated into sauce consistency. And the mushroom adds a really nice flavor. That's really good. I think I'm going to put the cap back on and save this one for dinner, since I've actually made myself 2 meals for the sake of this video. So no begging. No begging. This is fantastic. There is nothing better than a warm meal on a cold day like this out in the bush. Dehydrated food can last many years if you've done it properly, but of course, like with any food preparation, it's important to make sure that you've done your research on how to do things safely. All right, so we got Yuki's egg. Oh, you heard egg. Oh, can you break it? Yes, good boy. Good boy. And so if you're interested in the recipe I used for this backpacker's pasta meal, you can check our website. We have... Yeah, good boy. It's not working. We have the recipe on our website. Okay. Good boy. All right. Sit. Oh, okay, yes. Keep your foot down. Yeah, stay. Leave it. Okay. How about this one? You want this one? Yeah? Okay, bring it. All done. What a good boy you are.